Hello, my marvellous sausages. Now, this video is a little bit spoilery, so if you haven't played this week's epilogue mission or watched the new cutscene, then I'd advise you to simply go away. But if not, stick around because there's some really interesting things afoot. Now, we've had the beginning of the epilogue this week because it says epilogue the beginning, so hopefully we'll have something else happening next week. But we had a fantastic cutscene, and what was particularly great about this cutscene is that we see all our comrades in arms piling in to protect Mithrax and the Fallen from the Vex invasion in that Elixni quarter of the last city. We saw Saint 14 being, well, Saint 14 really, and we also saw Ikora being very cool indeed. Amanda Holiday turned up wielding the chaperone, which is well cool, and also Zavala shoved some rounds in some asses as well. It was all great, but it seems we also had another hero pitching in. A faceless, grumpy old blue git with one awoken arm and one Vex arm. That wonderfully grumpy, awoken blue git, Asher Mir. Now, let me explain. If you start up the new Override mission this week and jump up on this building here, you'll find a friendly harpy. Now, if you've been playing Destiny 2 since the Red War campaign 28 million years ago, we have bumped into these friendly harpies 2 other times. The first time was in a mission called O Captain, where a friendly harpy guided us around the mission, and it turned out that it was kind of like a Vex consciousness simulation of Captain Jacobson, who was the captain of the Exodus plaque, you know, plaque? That's on your teeth. Exodus Black, Failsafe's older heap of junk that's crashed on Nessus. So it wasn't really the captain, but it was a simulation of Captain Jacobson. Now, the next time we saw this harpy was when Beyond Light released. Because there was lots of little secrets all spread around Beyond Light, there was one where you acquired a buff called Strange Signal. Now, this Strange Signal, once you'd acquired it, you got it by killing a daft chicken who was parading around the Asterian Abyss icy area. Once you killed them, you got this buff, and then you bugger off down to the Nexus, and then you'll see again this harpy sort of milling about, and you can do a little side quest after talking to it and get some gear as well. That's all well and good. So, back to our friend in the last city Override. Now, this friendly harpy is actually saying something to us. It's piping out Morse code, would you believe? Now, it can be quite difficult to understand it with all the background explosions and things that were going on, and I am not claiming to have worked it out, not at all. That honour belongs to the Raid Secret subreddit. I shall link the thread in the description. But anyway, they translated it to mean assistance, but they said that the last sound wasn't very clear, so it could be wrong. Then someone said, it's not assistance, it's assistant. Now, which grumpy blue git called us that? Well, it was the one and only Asher Mir, of course, who is missing in action as Io was swallowed by the darkness at the end of Season of the Arrivals. But that's not much evidence that this friendly harpy fellow is our dear Asher, who you either love or hate, quite frankly, but I love him. We need more miserable, acerbic gits in the Destiny universe, if you ask me. It's a good counterpoint against all the angst and soul-searching that goes on.
Are we having a moment?
Anyway, if you look around the harpy, you can actually see Asher's equipment from Io is there. His terminal that he's tapping on in particular, that's very, very unique. That's one huge sign pointing that this harpy is Asher Mir, or is sending a message from Asher, or he's controlling it. Now, the next interesting thing is the lore from the stochastic variable submachine gun. It's a future war cult submachine gun. Now, if you look at the lore of this, it seems to list different futures. You know, Lakshmi, she got her information about some kind of terrible event that she believed was all the Fallen's fault, Mithrax and his clan, so she came to the conclusion that she needed to stop it, but she actually caused this Vex invasion herself, the stupid, daft, metal-headed dimwit. In the stochastic variable lore, Asher is mentioned twice. Number 4, it says the Elixni quarter, a crackling portal, Asher speaks. Fallen being attacked, dead orbit overhead, Saint 14 besieged, and future war cult surrenders. And then again in number 6, the Elixni quarter, a crackling portal, snipers fire down, blood rains in the gutter, an ether tank explodes, the endless night, Asher speaks, those future war cult traitors. Now, something else that's worth looking at is the background of Asher Mir. So I just want to talk about this a little bit because I found it really interesting, because he's a really interesting character. Now, he's an awoken warlock, but he does already have very deep links with the Vex, which started when he and two hunters went to go and take on Brachion, the Genesis Mind. Now, you remember the Pyramidion strike, where he would go on about the shores of a Radiolarian lake, and he wanted us to take revenge for Brachion taking his arm and all that kind of stuff. Well, this is where he witnessed his two hunter friends in his fire team being killed by, one of them was killed by, I believe, an exploding finalizer, and another one was killed by shed loads of goblins, was ripped in half. But also Asher's arm was torn off and replaced with a goblin's arm, a Vex arm.
My nerve endings have been transformed where they meet the biocircuitry.
Now, not only was he mutilated by the Vex, his ghost was mutilated as well. It's got Vex tech all over it, and the ghostly eye is actually being replaced with what they describe as the malevolent red glow from a single goblin's eye. Now, he said that he hasn't actually been reborn since his encounter with Brachion, meaning, I think, that he doesn't trust this ghost since his encounter to resurrect him, as it were, as he basically thinks it's now Vex.
I have not been reborn since the accident. In truth, I do not know what would happen. Is my ghost even capable of such a thing anymore?
It also seems that Asher was being slowly fused with the Vex as well. If you look in the lore tab for the Gensum Knight mark on the Titan, he actually talks about cutting his finger and Radiolarian fluid dripping out. It's spreading through his body. And then in the final piece of lore from Season of the Arrivals, in the lore book called Duress and Egress, the entry titled Asher Conclusion is a fascinating read. Just before the darkness swallows Io, he walks into the Pyramidion and fights wave after wave of Vex. And then all of a sudden, it's as if he starts to become one with the Vex. I'm gonna read it to you. He paused by a whirling gate and watched the aperiodic waves, then stepped through at the only possible moment. He walked steadily through the laser grids that seemed to bend around him. He hung calmly in a gravitational tourbillon as the ground beneath him flickered and shifted madly, and the Vex began to observe. The corridors of the Pyramidion were lined with glowing red eyes. The metal mannequin stood dumbly, twitching, shuddering as Asher passed. A familiar area unfolded before him, a cubist sinkhole reeking with a flat base stench of slate mud and bleach. He looked where the sky should be and found another impossible shape, another fractal contradiction. Far above him, placid in its Penrose vortex, the vast Radiolarian lake lapped gently at the metallic shores. The man reached up to the lake with his metal arm. He then reached up with his arm of flesh, reached with both, and he brought the lake down. Pretty cool, eh? He's getting all weirdly and godly on us, it seems, or he's certainly going into the Vex. It seems possible that he's able to either manipulate the Vex and is sending us a signal to his trusted assistant, that's us, for help, or Asher is indeed gone and it is like the Exodus Black Captain Jacobson, a copy and not the real Asher at all. My money is on Asher being our ace in the hole against the Vex. Well, anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think Asher is going to come back and save all our asses, or at least help us save our asses? I don't know. A different video for me, I know, but it was something that interested me so much, I wanted to whip it out and see what you all thought. And don't forget, if you're new to the video, please drop me a subscribe and a like. That would be utterly fantastic. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall speak to you all again very soon. Sausage out.